Most people see Colorado and think of calm, quiet, and comfortable wealth. But beneath that surface, it's a different game entirely. Power, not loud, not flashy, just calculated and very controlled. And here's the twist. A surprising amount of that power sits in the hands of women you've probably never even heard of. In this video, we're counting down the 10 richest women in Colorado. And the closer we get to number 1, the crazier the money and the influence gets. 10. Christiana Musk, the quiet power player. We're starting with someone who proves that not all wealth needs to be loud to be powerful. At number 10, we have Christiana Musk, a name that sits just outside the spotlight, but dangerously close to influence. While the world keeps its eyes on figures like Elon Musk building rockets and dominating headlines, Christiana has taken a completely different approach. Quiet, private, and highly controlled. Her wealth and influence were significantly shaped by her marriage to Kimball Musk, Elon Musk's brother, a successful entrepreneur and restaurateur. Through this connection, she gained access to elite networks, investment opportunities, and business circles few ever touch. Today, her estimated net worth is $50 million to $100 million. A number that might seem modest compared to tech billionaires, but it's a testament to smart positioning, strategic decisions, and a life lived away from the public eye. Christiana's story is fascinating because it represents a different kind of wealth, one that doesn't need headlines or social media clout to exist. Unlike many others on this list, her fortune isn't tied to a flashy brand or a public empire. Instead, it thrives quietly, nurtured through connections, private investments, and the kind of elite networks only a few ever enter. Her lifestyle reflects this discreet approach to wealth. While details are scarce, she favors luxury residences in Denver and secluded mountain estates in Aspen, Colorado. Properties that combine privacy, security, and prestige. These aren't just homes. They are strategic assets that grow in value while keeping her life shielded from public scrutiny. In elite circles, properties like these often serve multiple purposes. They're investments, retreats, and symbols of a lifestyle that blends comfort with power. Christiana Musk may be number 10 on this list, but she sets the tone for our countdown. She's private, strategic, understated, connected, and influential. Qualities that prove that wealth doesn't always have to scream to be significant. And if this is just the start, wait until we reach the women at the very top, whose fortunes and influence are impossible to ignore. Number 9. Kristen Dolan, the media maven. At number 9, we meet a woman whose wealth isn't inherited. It's earned, calculated, and amplified through influence. Kristen Dolan may not be a household name, but in the world of media and business, she's a force to be reckoned with. Kristen built her fortune the old-fashioned way, through intelligence, strategy, and leadership. Rising through the ranks of major media companies, she's held executive positions that put her in charge of multi-million-dollar deals, content strategy, and decision-making that can shape entire industries. Her power is subtle, but undeniable. Boardrooms move when she moves, and business circles listen when she speaks. Her estimated net worth? $200 million to $300 million, a number earned entirely through her career, investments, and smart navigation of a competitive industry. Unlike others on this list, Kristen's wealth comes from skill, foresight, and calculated risk rather than family inheritance. Her lifestyle reflects both her influence and her discretion. While details are scarce, Kristen is known to favor luxury homes in Denver and exclusive mountain retreats in Vail, Colorado. These properties aren't just about comfort, they're smart investments, providing privacy, prestige, and stability in some of the country's most coveted locations. Kristen Dolan is intelligent, strategic, focused, ambitious, and influential, a combination that has allowed her to quietly dominate spaces often ruled by men and amass wealth while staying out of the public eye. She's the perfect example of how power and fortune don't always need flash. They can thrive behind the scenes, quietly shaping industries and influencing decisions at the highest level. At number 9, Kristen Dolan shows us a different kind of success, one built on brains, strategy, and quiet determination. And as we move up this countdown, the women ahead only get bolder, wealthier, and more impossible to ignore. 8. Linda Resnick, the branding queen. Now, if number 9 showed us what strategy and corporate power can do, number 8 takes it to a completely different level. Because Linda Resnick didn't just build wealth, she mastered the art of turning everyday products into billion-dollar brands. Alongside her husband, Stuart Resnick, she co-created one of the most powerful agricultural and marketing empires in America. Through their company, The Wonderful Company, they control a massive portfolio of products that dominate shelves and households across the country. We're talking about brands like Palm Wonderful, Fiji Water, and even Wonderful Pistachios. Names that don't just sell, they stick. And that's her real genius. Linda Resnick understands something most businesses don't. People don't just buy products, they buy perception. She has built an empire by controlling how products are seen, marketed, and desired. From bold advertising campaigns to strategic storytelling, she transformed simple agricultural goods into premium, must-have brands that generate billions in revenue every year. Her estimated net worth is reportedly between $5 to $6 billion. And that number isn't just wealth, it's influence. Because when you control brands at this scale, you're not just participating in the market, you're shaping it. But the power doesn't stop at business. Linda and her husband are also among the largest landowners in the United States, with vast agricultural holdings that stretch across thousands of acres. That means their wealth isn't just in products, it's in the land, the production, and the entire supply chain behind it. It's a level of control that most entrepreneurs never reach. Speaking about lifestyle, Linda Resnick operates at a level where privacy meets extreme luxury. While much of her empire is rooted in California, she maintains strong ties to elite circles that extend into Colorado, particularly in places like Aspen. These aren't just vacation spots. They're billionaire playgrounds where high-level networking, quiet deals, and generational wealth quietly move behind the scenes. Her properties and retreats reflect that same philosophy: exclusive, secure, and strategically located in some of the most valuable real estate markets in the country. At this level, a home isn't just a place to live, it's an asset, a status symbol, and sometimes even a business decision. Linda Resnick is bold, visionary, persuasive, strategic, and incredibly powerful. A woman who didn't just join the billionaire class, she helped redefine how branding itself can create wealth on a massive scale. Number 7. Sue Anschutz-Rogers, the heiress of an empire. At this point in the countdown, things start to shift. This is where money stops being impressive and starts becoming generational. Sue Anschutz-Rogers represents a level of wealth that most people will never fully understand, not because it's flashy, but because it's deeply rooted. She is the daughter of billionaire businessman Philip Anschutz, the mastermind behind one of the most powerful and far-reaching empires in Colorado. We're talking about influence that stretches across energy, railroads, real estate, entertainment, and even professional sports. This isn't just a business. It's a network of industries, all connected, all generating billions, and all quietly shaping the economic landscape. Sue has an estimated net worth slightly above $6 billion, tied directly to the Anschutz family fortune. But here's what makes Sue stand out. She's not just a passive heir sitting on wealth. She plays a role in sustaining and guiding that empire, ensuring that what was built decades ago continues to grow and evolve. Her influence may not be loud, but it's deeply embedded in decisions that carry long-term impact. The family's presence in Colorado is massive, especially around Denver, where their business and real estate footprint is hard to ignore. From major developments to key investments, their reach extends into multiple sectors that keep the state's economy moving. And when it comes to lifestyle, it reflects a level of wealth that prioritizes privacy and control, exclusive estates, expansive land holdings, and access to elite spaces where influence is exchanged quietly, far from public attention. Sue Anschutz-Rogers is reserved, strategic, legacy-driven, influential, and powerful. A woman who embodies what it means to inherit not just money, but an empire. And as we move forward, one thing becomes clear. This list is no longer just about success stories, it's about dynasties. And the next names? They only take that power even further. Nancy Anschutz, the power behind the empire. At number 6, we're not just talking about wealth, we're talking about proximity to one of the most dominant business forces in Colorado. Nancy Anschutz sits at the heart of the Anschutz empire as the wife of billionaire tycoon Philip Anschutz. But make no mistake, this isn't just a story of marriage into wealth. It's about being deeply embedded in a system of power that spans multiple industries and generates billions behind the scenes. With an estimated net worth of about $10 billion plus, Anschutz's shared family wealth reflects just how massive the Anschutz empire truly is. This is an empire built on energy, railroads, real estate, entertainment, and sports. An interconnected network of businesses that quietly influence not just Colorado, but large parts of the American economy. And at this level, influence isn't loud, it's structural. It's the kind of power that operates in boardrooms, investments, and long-term strategies that shape industries over decades. With strong roots in Denver, the Anschutz name is tied to major developments, high-value assets, and some of the most influential business decisions in the state. Their footprint is everywhere, whether people realize it or not. Nancy's lifestyle reflects that level of wealth. Private estates, luxury properties, and access to elite circles where billion-dollar conversations happen behind closed doors. From expansive land holdings to high-end real estate in exclusive locations, everything about this level of living is designed for privacy, security, and long-term value. But beyond wealth, Nancy Anschutz is also known for her philanthropic efforts, contributing to education, health, and community development. It's a reminder that at this level, influence isn't just about building wealth, it's also about shaping legacy. Nancy Anschutz is powerful, reserved, influential, legacy-driven, and deeply connected, a woman who represents the strength behind one of Colorado's most dominant dynasties. And as we move into the top 5, just know this: what you've seen so far is only the foundation, because from here on out, the wealth gets even bigger, and the power? Even harder to ignore. 5. Carrie Walton Penner, the billionaire strategist. Now we've officially crossed into the top 5, and at this level, we're no longer talking about millions. We're talking serious billionaire territory. Carrie Walton Penner steps into this spot with a fortune that doesn't just come from wealth, but from one of the most powerful retail empires in the world. She is the granddaughter of Sam Walton, the visionary behind Walmart, a company that changed global commerce forever. She's reportedly worth around $13 billion, and that alone places her among the richest women not just in Colorado, but in the entire United States. But what makes Carrie stand out is that she hasn't just relied on inheritance. She's actively involved in business, investments, and strategic decision-making that continues to grow her wealth. Carrie has built a reputation as someone who understands how to manage and multiply money at scale. From her involvement in family business operations to her work in education and investment initiatives, she operates with a level of focus that keeps her firmly in control of her financial future. Now, when it comes to lifestyle, this is where things get even more interesting. With strong ties to Colorado, Carrie is known to be connected to high-end real estate and elite communities, particularly in areas like Denver and luxury mountain destinations such as Aspen. These are locations where billionaires don't just live. They build networks, make deals, and protect their privacy. At this level, properties aren't just homes, they're assets, investments, and symbols of influence. Private estates, expansive land, and access to exclusive environments are all part of the package. Carrie Walton Penner is strategic, intelligent, influential, disciplined, and powerful. A woman who represents the perfect blend of inherited wealth and active control. She's not just part of a legacy, she's helping shape what that legacy becomes in the future. And if you think $13 billion is impressive, just wait. Because the women ahead? They're operating on a level that takes wealth and influence to an entirely different dimension. Number 4. Ann Walton. Kroenke, the silent sports empire queen. At number 4, we step into a level of wealth that doesn't just sit in bank accounts. It owns teams, controls assets, and moves across entire industries. Ann Walton Kroenke is another powerhouse from the legendary Walton family, the same dynasty behind Walmart, founded by Sam Walton. But what makes her story different is how that wealth connects to something even bigger: sports, real estate, and global influence. She has an estimated net worth of $10 to $13 billion. She is married to billionaire sports mogul Stan Kroenke, a man whose empire includes ownership of major teams across leagues like the NFL, NBA, and international sports. And through that connection, Anne isn't just part of wealth, she's part of a global sports and real estate powerhouse. We're talking about an empire that stretches from stadiums to media rights to massive land developments. This is wealth that doesn't just grow, it dominates. With strong ties to Colorado, particularly in areas like Denver, the Kroenke influence is deeply rooted in the state's business and sports landscape. From major properties to high-value investments, their footprint is impossible to ignore. And when it comes to lifestyle, it's exactly what you'd expect at this level: ultra-private estates, luxury properties, and access to some of the most exclusive spaces in the world. Whether it's high-end residences in Colorado or global assets tied to their sports empire, everything is built around power, privacy, and long-term value. Anne Walton Kroenke is powerful, strategic, reserved, influential, and deeply connected. A woman who doesn't chase the spotlight, yet sits at the center of an empire that spans continents. At number 4, the scale is already massive, but we're not done yet. Because the top 3? That's where wealth stops being impressive and starts becoming truly staggering. Part 3. Gail Miller, the empire builder. Now we're in the top 3, and at this level, everything changes. This is where wealth isn't just inherited or connected. It's proven, expanded, and solidified over time. Gail Miller is the perfect example of that. She didn't just step into a successful business, she helped build it. And when the moment came, she took full control and elevated it to an entirely new level. Alongside her late husband, Larry H. Miller, she helped grow what became the Larry H. Miller Group, a massive empire spanning automotive dealerships, real estate, finance, and even professional sports. She has an estimated net worth between $4 to $5 billion. But here's where her story really stands out. After her husband's passing, many expected the empire to slow down or even decline. Instead, Gail stepped in, not just as a caretaker, but as a leader. She made bold decisions, restructured key parts of the business, and ensured that the company didn't just survive. It continued to grow and evolve. That kind of transition isn't easy. It takes vision, discipline, and the ability to make high-stakes decisions under pressure, and Gail delivered on all fronts. Over the years, she has overseen major expansions and strategic sales, turning parts of the business into even larger financial opportunities. Her approach has always been calculated, knowing when to hold, when to grow, and when to pivot. And that's exactly how billion-dollar empires are sustained. Her influence also stretches beyond just business. Through her leadership, the company has been involved in major real estate developments and investments that reach into key markets, including Colorado. Cities like Denver remain important hubs for high-value deals, and Gail operates comfortably within those elite financial spaces. And when it comes to lifestyle, it reflects both her success and her mindset. Luxury properties, private investments, and access to exclusive circles, but also a strong emphasis on purpose. She's widely recognized for her philanthropy, giving back to education, healthcare, and community development, proving that her influence goes far beyond just wealth. Gail Miller is resilient, strategic, disciplined, influential, and visionary. A woman who didn't just inherit an empire, she proved she could lead it, grow it, and redefine it. And now, we're down to the final 2, and this is where things get truly elite. Because the women ahead, they're operating at a level where billions start to feel like the baseline. Number 2. Pat Stryker, the low-key billionaire powerhouse. We've reached number 2, and now we're stepping into a level of wealth that is not just massive, it's deeply rooted, highly strategic, and incredibly influential. Pat Stryker is one of the most powerful women in Colorado, yet she's also one of the most private. Unlike many billionaires, she doesn't chase the spotlight. She doesn't make noise. But behind the scenes, her influence is everywhere. She is an heir to the fortune of Stryker Corporation, one of the world's leading medical technology companies. But what makes Pat different is this. She didn't just inherit wealth, she multiplied it. Stryker is reportedly worth between $7 and $8 billion. And instead of simply sitting on that fortune, Pat Stryker made a series of smart, calculated moves that turned her into a dominant force in Colorado's economic landscape. Through her investment firm, she has poured money into real estate, agriculture, media, and technology, building a diversified portfolio that continues to grow year after year. One of her most notable areas of influence is in land ownership. Pat is known for owning vast amounts of land in Colorado, particularly around Fort Collins and other high-value regions. These aren't just properties, they're strategic assets often spanning thousands of acres, giving her both financial power and physical control over some of the state's most valuable spaces. Her lifestyle reflects her personality, private, controlled, and intentional. While many billionaires showcase luxury, Pat keeps things low-key, focusing instead on long-term investments and quiet influence. But make no mistake, the level she operates on includes elite properties, exclusive environments, and access to some of the most powerful networks in the country. Beyond business, she's also heavily involved in philanthropy, contributing to community development, education, and environmental causes. It's a reminder that her impact isn't just financial, it's structural, shaping communities and futures over time. Pat Stryker is strategic, private, influential, disciplined, and powerful. A woman who proves that you don't need attention to dominate. And now, there's only one name left. And trust me, number one doesn't just top this list. She redefines it. Number 1. Diane Hendricks, the self-made titan. And now, number 1. This isn't just the richest woman on this list. This is a woman who operates on a completely different level of wealth, power, and influence. Diane Hendricks is not an heiress. She didn't inherit an empire. She built it from the ground up, and that's exactly what makes her number 1. She is the co-founder of ABC Supply, one of the largest wholesale distributors of roofing, siding, and construction materials in the United States. What started as a small business turned into a nationwide powerhouse, supplying materials to thousands of contractors and generating billions in revenue every single year. Estimated net worth? Over $21 billion. Let that sink in. That's not just wealth, that's dominance. Diane didn't just grow a company, she built a system, a machine that runs across the country feeding into construction, real estate, and infrastructure. And at that scale, every deal, every contract, every expansion adds millions, sometimes billions to her fortune. But she didn't stop there. Diane Hendricks is also a major force in real estate, owning and developing high-value commercial and residential properties across multiple states, including strong ties to Colorado's luxury and investment markets. From high-end developments to strategic land acquisitions, she understands exactly where money grows, and she positions herself right at the center of it. Her lifestyle reflects her status, private jets, luxury estates, and access to the most exclusive financial circles in the world. What's even more fascinating is how she continues to expand her influence behind the scenes, making moves that quietly shape industries, redefine wealth, and set the stage for future generations. But what truly sets her apart isn't just how she lives, it's how she thinks. Every move is calculated, every investment intentional, and every opportunity maximized. Diane Hendricks is relentless, visionary, strategic, self-made, and unstoppable. A woman who didn't just join the billionaire class, she climbed to the very top of it. And that's why she doesn't just take number 1 on this list, she owns it. And there you have it. From quiet power players to self-made billionaires, these women prove that in Colorado influence comes in many forms. But at the very top, it's all about strategy, ownership, and legacy. Diane Hendricks doesn't just top this list, she defines it. But here's the question. Who do you think deserves a spot that didn't make the list? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like, subscribe to her status, and stay tuned for more.